Well, our first contract was Circuit City.
Okay.
Well, they went out of business like my first month. So my dad had other jobs for me lined up. He wanted me to work, in his industry or through people that he knew. I didn't do that just out of pure spite and who I am, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah.
And he's Mr. Corporate America. That's not a bad thing. I'm just not, a fancy guy or I don't want to say a country clubber, but that stuff doesn't, turn me on at all. I mean, everything that I've gone through, I've learned. So I've learned what it is to not have a coach or a mentor because it was a new business because we literally started over.
So we're live, another episode of Adversity Kings. We have special guest, a very successful businessman who has one of many offices, literally right above the office that I'm in right now. And introduce yourself.
My name's Jacob Cline, and I'm the president of Be Marketable.
Let's go. Awesome. So, and what were you saying about Peter?
He was talking about like how good some of the sound bites were. And
yeah.
I've never listened and critiqued my own voice before, and it was it was really, really atrocious.
It's so
it was really,
painful.
really bad.
Yeah, it's so painful.
Yeah, it was not.
I always listen to like other people and I'm like, why do they sound so much better than me? And I feel
way cooler. And I think I'm cool, and then I heard myself and I'm not that cool anymore. I want to quit already on day one.
Let's go. So shout out All Caps Media. They handle all of our media and everything in regard to for Jacob and then myself as well. Shout out All Caps Media. Shout out Aiden Peter. But let's start with shouting out anything you want to plug in as well. Just with us being a newer podcast, I've been trying to take the approach of a lot of podcasts do plug-ins at the end. But with us new, I feel like we might only have 5 minutes of some people's attention.
I would say, my buddy is fighting in his, it could be, his last fight in the UFC, December 3rd.
Okay.
Scott Hot Sauce Holtzman.
Let's go.
I wasn't prepared to talk about that. I don't really have any plugs, but if I did have one off the top of my head, that would be it.
Let's go. Awesome. So let's just...
December 3rd in Orlando.
Let's see who he's fighting. You're obviously going then.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Let's go. Let's see. UFC.
You guys are... You're into that stuff, too.
That's the only thing I watch.
Throw a bonus.
Yes.
And let's make it happen.
Yes. Let's see. December. For 17th?
No, 12/3.
Okay.
In Orlando.
Okay. All right, I don't see it on the UFC page yet, but that's dope.
I will. Yeah, it's that, we're that early.
Yes.
Yeah, we're that early.
So let's start a little bit about your story. So where were you born?
Americus, Georgia.
Americus, Georgia.
Middle of nowhere.
Let's go. What'd your parents do?
My dad was an executive at Lithonia Lighting, Acuity Brands, publicly traded lighting and steel company. His, I guess, line of work was sourcing and purchasing. That was what he oversaw. And he retired 6-7 years ago.
Okay.
My mom always stayed home with me and my sisters.
So who were you closest with?
Man, I'm right in the middle. I actually...
really evenly balanced?
Different.
Okay.
People say that I, act like my dad but look like my mom. So I'm probably evenly balanced. I didn't, I didn't, I don't know that I favor one or the other. Just different things. Whatever benefits me the most is that's who I'd go to.
That makes sense. You have siblings?
2 older sisters.
What do they do?
My middle sister, Natalie, she's like the best child that we all want to hope for. So the bar's really high. Like she was, valedictorian and high school cheerleading captain and did all that stuff. And
that's impressive. Middle child.
And I wasn't.
Okay.
And then, in college she did the same thing. And now she's a teacher with, special education. And she's like wonderful.
Yeah.
My oldest sister, she was a stay-at-home mom. And she still is a stay-at-home mom. So, she's not, she didn't pass or anything. And I've always been a little bit different. I wasn't the best student in the whole world, and I probably, I wasn't like a troublemaker, but I definitely wasn't like my sisters, with my studies.
Now you said hockey before we got on the podcast. Do they have ice in Georgia?
I played, so I've moved around a lot. I've been to like 11 different schools. So, not normal. My dad transferred, moved into different towns. not bad, all, progression through life. So that's probably where I got some of the, I'll do whatever it takes to make what I got to make. So, but he had a transfer right outside of Philadelphia. So we moved to New Jersey when I was like 7.
Okay.
So that's where I learned hockey and learned how to skate. So when we moved back to Georgia, I was playing on like a wooden floor disco ball in the middle. And I mean, it was in the middle of nowhere in Macon, Georgia, which is a rough area.
That Jersey hockey, probably bringing that back down to Georgia, you probably smashed on them kids.
We won more than we lost.
Yeah,
we won more than we lost.
So what was growing up for you like? Was there highlights or anything that was like monumental for the person you are today?
Looking back, I had so I'm a big believer that you need good coaching, good mentorship. And, looking back, I've had, some people that were successful that were close to me. Yeah. But I didn't appreciate their success. Like, that's not what I liked about them. I liked that they were really good quality people. Yeah. And, now looking back, I'm like, wow, like, that guy had airplanes. Like, wow, that guy is the president of Fifth Third Bank. Like, wow, that guy is. So looking back, I had really good contacts and people. And, maybe one of the things they liked about me is I was just normal with them, and, they were probably just normal back with me.
I didn't realize that either for a very brief period of time. So just to paraphrase, I think I've told you my story. Like, both my parents went away. I grew up in the South. I grew up in Arkansas.
I didn't know.
No?
Yeah, I didn't know that.
So in Arkansas, basically my dad got involved in like white collar crime, so more like money laundering and things like that. And in the South, as I got older, I got a little more empathetic for him. I was like, man, what an asshole. I haven't had a relationship with him since I was 8, but I feel like in the South, they're a little more like a handshake deal opposed to like putting pen to paper.
Absolutely.
So everything's like still down there. Like I go to Arkansas here and there, and it's still like you handshake deals. But long story short, got into trouble. My mom went to jail first, and then he's been gone since I was 8 years old. But one of his friends who I had on the podcast, I didn't realize it at the time, owned an insurance company, but I'm 8, 9 years old on this guy's wrestling team, and he had a jet. And I remember being in his house in his son's room, and I'd stayed over, and his son picked up a phone, like a house phone, and called a maid and ordered breakfast for like all of the boys, and up to his room. We're 8 years old.
Yeah, I don't have any stories like that. That's awesome.
That was insane. You know what I mean? And so I was like, I didn't realize it at the time. I just thought, I was because my dad had a little bit of money too. You know what I mean? So I was like, we were not that rich, but we were flying on this dude's private jet. We were a private wrestling team. It was, and I reached out, almost 15 years now later, and he actually got on my podcast and still does absolutely phenomenal. His son's the starting quarterback at a D1 Texas school, so it's not like Texas Tech, but it's a good Texas. It might be a D1
if you can make it at that level, that's still impressive.
But I hyper agree with you in regard to, like, I didn't appreciate them for their wealth, but I definitely, as a young kid, it was like a flashy thing. Yeah. So I think from that to my mom getting out of jail, and then we lived with my grandparents on food stamps, and you know what I mean, like that extremity, I think it was vital for me because it made me extremely hungry. It's almost like giving a fat kid cake and then taking it away. Like I've wanted it ever since.
Forced diet.
Yeah.
My parents are, again, we didn't have like other side of the track story or anything like that, but they wouldn't spend anything. My dad would drive 30 minutes to save, anything, any dollar on, meat on, or gas. That's just who he's. So even now he's like so cheap. Like it's incredible. Not almost in a bad way. I'll say. So there was nothing spent, and he was like Mr. Corporate America. So it's. Now I would say that if you talk to those people, they probably thought you were a different kid even then. Yeah. So absolutely. Now the people are like, well, Jacob, this doesn't surprise me that you're doing this. You always thought differently. You always got along with the parents.
Yeah, he literally said that.
Yeah, you were always, not leader in a bad way, but, if there was some getting into some mischief, you were always right around it. Maybe you didn't get caught, but you were right around it.
Yes.
So, and you need some of that in business. You need to be able to relate to the people that are, really, really smart, and you need to be able to relate to the people that are smart and intelligent, just not in the books. Yeah. So,
what was your first car?
A Chevy pickup truck.
Chevy pickup truck?
Yeah.
Awesome.
And I still have a Chevy pickup truck. Different one.
Yeah,
it's a different one.
I got a Ram. I don't know if you've ever seen my Ram. I keep the little white Ram outside.
I'm against. It's got to be a GM product for me.
Yeah?
Yeah. I think that's groomed in you in the South either. I remember someone asking me, I have a serious question for you, Ford or Chevy?
My dad absolutely hated Ford.
Yeah. So I'm anti-Ford. I'm GM. You know, and
I didn't even know Ram was not.
Ram's Chrysler. So that's
okay.
You know, yeah.
All right. Well, that's kind of eye-opening. Now, the era you grew up in, was it 80s, 90s?
Yeah.
A little between there?
Yeah. Born in 84.
Okay.
So, you know, I guess I would say 90s.
90s. So was there anything culturally that like really, I mean, ultimately, yes, it influenced you, but was anything you really enjoyed, loved, miss?
I mean, the first thing that jumped in my mind when you said that is, you know, the after school sitcoms. You know, you have like Family Matters and Saved by the Bell and Full House. Like that's what jumps in my mind.
Yeah.
You know, and
were you guys did you guys get into video games? Was the Atari and stuff?
I don't think I'm a gamer. I think I would play like the hockey NHL game that's new, and I do that just to kind of turn my brain off. Then I don't think I was a big gamer at all, actually.
Yeah.
With the pandemic, you know, everyone would come over because the world was closed for, you know, 8 months. This was like Russia here.
It's so weird they closed the world.
Yeah. So I got, I think, pretty good at Call of Duty.
Yeah.
And I started, so, you know, in my business, you know, people are teaching and training, and there's a lot of soft communicative skills that people either harness or they really whiff on.
Yeah.
So you play in, and I'm sure everyone knows this but me, but you play in groups or teams of 2s, 3s, or 4s or whatever it is, and listening to how they give direction and teaching me, because normally I'm teaching them, but to see how they teach me how to do something that I don't know how to do, I'm like, this is why you guys struggle. Like, I mean, you guys are awful.
We couldn't do a Call of Duty chat room.
My deal.
All these young guys, we would say we would all be fired.
Yeah. But I mean,
aggressive.
It was also impressive because I've got my middle sister, Natalie, she's got triplet boys, and they're, 14, 15, 16. So all they do is play video games all day long.
Yeah.
And they just kick the shit out of, as soon as you come back alive, they kill you. It's so, I've never wanted to hurt a teenager before like that. It was really annoying.
Now, what about high school? How'd high school rock out for you?
Probably, it's funny. You know, my mom and dad would say that's when they were worried about me. You know, they took me from New Jersey. You know, we lived in I remember people saying that the parking lot of the high school was like a car dealership, like all nice cars, all that was like the school, the district that we were in. And there was also a lot of, you know, bad influences. So they brought me back to Georgia because they thought that would be better for me. Well, they also took me away from the only thing I wanted to do. You know, I was a freshman in high school. I stopped doing all other sports, and I only focused on hockey.
Yeah.
And, you know, there's not a lot of hockey in Georgia, as we covered. So, you know, I didn't really care about school. You know, we talked about that too. But all I wanted to do was play sports and play hockey. So it was tough for me because that was the hardest thing for me to do. And it was an hour in one direction or another to get to any, you know, sort of rink, and that rink was definitely subpar. So I would say, you know, early on, before I was old enough to drive, because you can drive at 16, it was probably the hardest. You know, 9th to 10th grade were probably the hardest for me. Yeah.
Now, as you're coming up on graduating high school, did you decide to go to college or? So I wanted to see if I could, you know, if I could compete at the next level, you know, just, you know, and so when I graduated high school, I moved to Toronto. When did you graduate, 98?
2002.
2002?
So I graduated high school in 2002, packed up, moved to right outside of Toronto to Thornhill, and, you know, tried to play what was called junior hockey.
Toronto in Canada?
In Canada, yeah.
Okay, so do you have like a dual citizenship or something?
No, not at all.
But now getting into Canada though, like right now, is like almost like impossible, right?
I think
our listeners might know.
Yeah, I think the pandemic stuff made it kind of funky.
Okay.
We opened up an office in northern New York, and we were going to plan a trip to go see Niagara, and they they didn't allow us to.
Yeah.
So I think that there's some funniness.
Do you have Canadian offices, real quick?
No, not that would report to me.
Okay.
I know that they're out there, but they don't. You know, different group. But you know that they had certain import cards that they could do to sign players, and I was one of the players that they offered that to. So
Okay.
I was.
So you
up
played
there
a Canadian Hockey League after
yeah.
you graduated?
Yep.
So how long did you do that?
For one season, and
Okay.
then I went to Cincinnati, and then from there, so I played 2 seasons of junior hockey, and then that's normally what you would do. It's a feeder system for colleges.
Kind of like baseball. I feel like baseball always has all these different little teams that they play on before they go to the MLB.
It's interesting. So they would have like junior colleges or JUCOs. That would be I would say the parallel to junior hockey in the hockey world.
Yeah.
So we wouldn't go to junior college to try to make it to another school. I think that there's eligibility, funny stuff there. But I ended up graduating from UMass in Boston. So that was exciting. Like Boston's a big time hockey school. I was right in the city. So I had a pretty good college experience, I'd say, overall.
Reminds me of one of my favorite movies. I think it looks like it's portrayed out of Boston. I think it's The Departed.
It is out of Boston. Yeah, out of Southie.
Okay.
That's actually, the school is in the movie.
For real?
Yeah, absolutely.
I love that movie.
The bar that they filmed that stuff in is called Murphy's Law.
Okay.
And
it's
really
a real
there.
bar?
Oh yeah, it's really there.
See, that's sweet.
And the food there is incredible. Like Boston's an awesome place, and people don't normally think about the food, but it's all good.
Yeah. I could see Boston having a tough vibe like Chicago, like real hard-nosed people that don't take no shit.
I mean, again, you'll see all walks of life there.
Yeah.
And it is not, there are people that are not to be trifled with. Like you can, I don't want to teach people to judge people, but it's natural. Like if they have a haircut like yours, that is not the guy. Like if they have a shaved head, that is not who you want to go against at all. And if they have like a little beer belly and they're wearing a white tank top, that's not your guy either. It is definitely a different look.
Different breed out there. So you graduate college, UMass. What did you graduate with degree-wise?
Business administration.
Business admin?
Yeah.
And then from there, where did you go?
I just tried to be a hockey player. I tried to play pro, and I had a couple different options or offers.
Who's your favorite team, hockey-wise?
I'd probably say the Philadelphia Flyers, but I wouldn't say that I'm.
Oh my God, I'm from Pittsburgh, basically, dude.
Yeah, but I don't think I'm a fan. Like I'm not.
Okay.
I don't go crazy like that. I would say that just because that's what I saw growing up.
Yeah.
We practice in the same facility they practice in when I learned to play hockey.
Okay.
So we've just run into some of the players, and that's kind of how I got started on hockey.
Somebody better than Sidney Crosby. Who would that be?
I mean, again, when you're smarter than everybody else, you think the game differently. So he's, he can see the future. That's why he's so good. Now, it's not because he's fast. It's not because he does anything else great. You have that level of anticipation. That's what makes people great.
So like that hockey, it's hockey IQ.
Yep.
So just like the football IQ.
Just like Gretzky, just like Tom Brady.
Yeah. Just
reading
midfield.
He doesn't throw the ball the hardest. He's definitely not the fastest. He just he can just anticipate.
Yeah. So would you have a favorite player then? Or are you not that deep into it?
Probably not.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, probably not.
Now, did you ever get to play a pro season then?
I bounced around for parts of 3 seasons.
Okay.
So I wouldn't, again, like I was a part of the team, but I wouldn't, there's people that try to glorify, I have to retire. Well, I didn't really have a good enough career to say that I had to retire.
Yep.
I like to say it a little differently, especially in the business because there's so much failure.
Yeah.
I would say that I failed out of multiple levels of professional hockey.
Okay. Still highly respectable. What would you say, what position did you play?
I was pretty versatile. I could play forward or defense, center or wing. I think I was pretty versatile.
Did you ever get in any hockey fights?
Yeah, there was a few. I've been, like I said, you learn you can get beat up and still live.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's dope. I think the last thing I'm talking about on hockey is some of those checks are nuts. When does it become illegal?
So I, like I said, I don't think I ever shied away from the physical stuff. I kind of enjoyed that part of the game.
Yeah.
I like the fact that in hockey you can police yourself. People are yapping, but you can say, well, hey, let's figure it out, and they'll stop.
Yeah.
Because they're gonna get beat up, and
and
I'm also in the people that I'm close with. I mean, I just told you about my friend Scott. He beats people up for a living. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I can't. When we go anywhere, I'm the weakest girl in there. You know what
Yeah.
I mean? So it's not.
Scott, your time wrote roundhouse this person.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
That's exactly right. That was his job.
Dope.
Still is his job.
Let's go. So as you're wrapping up hockey and transitioning from there, what do you go to next?
So our in season is the holidays. So I moved away at 17 and then juniors in college and trying to make it. So I really didn't get a chance to spend a whole lot of time with family through the holidays. They would either come to me or, you know, maybe my mom would come one year, my dad would come one year, you know, that it was, it was hit or miss. So, it was my first holiday home, in 2009, I think. Yeah, 2009. First time I've been home in 7 years. So, you know, I'm done with hockey. I'm really looking to kind of see where I can start over.
Yeah.
And I mean, you know, Thanksgiving, families asking, well, what are you going to do? And all that shit. So I really didn't have a plan. You know, I was kind of all in on that. And
Yeah.
The reason that I didn't do well is because I probably could have taken care of myself a little bit better.
Yeah.
I mean, you look at all the people that are special now, and I mean, man, it's a job to, you know, take care of themselves, eat the way they eat.
Hundreds of thousands of dollars.
Yeah, man. I mean, it's a real commitment.
Yes.
And I was a wild animal. So
Yeah.
it was, you know, looking back, it doesn't surprise me why all that. At that time, I was bitter because, I mean, again, it's Toronto, it's Cincinnati,
I feel like
it's
taking care of
Bloomington, it's
yourself.
Columbus, it's, you know, it's, you know, I think I tried to go to like 7 different cities in
Yeah.
less than 4 years.
Yeah.
So I wanted to, you know, I probably could have continued to try. I just didn't, it just prolonged getting a job and growing up.
Yeah.
When I started my business, I actually had a chance to go overseas to try to play. And again, I just didn't want to go over there and, you know, finish out the season and, you know, have to start over again. And so my mom actually applied and circled in the newspaper different places, that's how old I am, different places that I could go and work. And that's how I started doing what I'm doing now.
So, and just to talk on the medical and the health side thing of sports, I feel like it's been like maybe the last 10, but for sure maybe the last 5 years where sports culture has started to like heavily emphasize taking care of yourself. Like,
I think it's only going to get bigger. That's a
Yes.
real bit, and like the mental health side of things too.
Oh,
like
so
I mean,
huge.
I don't sleep a lot. I do a lot of reading, and I always read about sports because there's so much of what you do and I do.
Yes.
Similar veins where coaching and mentoring people.
Yeah.
Like you have to be good and relevant.
Yeah.
If you don't give the information, you don't have the team anymore.
Yeah.
Same kind of idea. You can lose the player. The players, you know,
Yes.
the coach loses his voice. So I'm reading up on one of the players, and they contribute a lot of their success to their sports psychologist. And I'm like, man, there's so many people that could benefit from that, and it's everywhere. And
Yeah.
now mental health is everywhere.
So
and the
huge.
way that you take care of yourself, because people need an outlet.
Yeah.
Well, when I was coming through, it was like you bury that shit down.
Yeah.
You don't cry. You
Yeah.
fucking man up.
Yeah.
You know, so you got
you got hit in the head, can't see, get up.
yeah, like you,
Yeah.
like you know, in the concussion movie and all that, man.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, I have a headache now. You know what
Yeah, I
I
was
mean? Like,
gonna
it's,
say.
like we just have to deal with it.
Yes. You want a Tylenol?
No, I'm good.
Okay.
After they're done.
All right, cool. It's like, those are the worst. So you get into business. Your mom's helping you put out application. How quickly
No,
do you?
she did all of it.
She
I
did
didn't
all of
do
it.
Yeah, I went on.
So did you just do
I
an
think she had,
onboarding?
like seven different interviews.
Okay.
You know, I didn't understand the recruiting process, so
Yeah.
I wasn't. I mean, I'm 25 years old looking for work. Like,
Yeah.
you know, my resume is 0. You know, I was a bartender and a referee. You know what I mean? Like, I have no relevant experience to offer anyone. So the only thing that I knew is how much I didn't know.
Yes.
So I was, again, not stupid, but just naive. Like, I didn't understand taxes.
Yeah.
I didn't understand any of that stuff. So when I came in, you think about me walking into your door now at 25, not knowing anything.
Yeah.
Just wanting to start over.
Yep.
You know, I'm like your ideal candidate.
Yes.
You know what I mean? And I'm like attached to the job. Well, our first contract was Circuit City.
Okay.
Well, they went out of business like my first month. So my dad had other jobs for me lined up. He wanted me to work, you know, in his industry or through people that he knew. I didn't do that just out of pure spite and who I am, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah.
But I wanted to make it on my own steam anyway. So
I feel like every hungry person. Like,
yeah,
I never.
Yeah, like I mean, you know, and again, he's Mr. Corporate America. That's not a bad thing. You know, I'm just not, you know, a fancy guy or a, you know, I don't want to say a country clubber, but that stuff doesn't, you know, turn me on at all. So I started going on interviews, and I'd never, you know, seen third-party labor or sales before. I mean, everything that I've gone through, I've learned. So I've learned what it is to not have a coach or a mentor, because it was a new business, because we literally started over.
Yeah.
So we were in circuit cities. They went down. We were like a traveling road show selling other people's services and products. And, you know, and it just kind of took off from there. Now we're in all the retailers all across.
Now, did you start at the very bottom, like just as a rep?
100%. Yeah, I started doing the sales, and
yep.
And you know, it's different now, obviously, because of technology, and so much has changed. But you know, it's still a, you know, pretty good opportunity.
So was it like sales rep to consumer or sales rep to business? Like, were you selling business contracts, or were you selling?
So we started, I mean, we were, and again, anybody could have done this. We were an authorized retailer of DirecTV. You know, they're everywhere.
So that was, how long ago was this? 10 years?
That was 2009. It was more than that, you know? So we're selling DirecTV and inside of the retailers.
Yeah. And your parents were supportive of the sales position?
Hell no, man.
Didn't she sign you up for it, though?
My mom, well, yeah, but, you know, it's different. She doesn't know. She just wants me home. My mom just wanted me home.
Yeah.
And my dad's like, you should go work and get up in the morning like a grown up. Like, you know, like you're 25 years old, you don't have anything. Like that's really, you know, a miraculous failure. Yeah. You know, how? Like it's, you know, and I already failed at the other thing. So it was you know, a lot of really positive pressure. We didn't have sports psychologists, you know? No. But it was, you know, I learned about pay. We paid on a draw. You know, so it was kind of like commission only. But of course, that's not the way it was portrayed. So I had to learn everything, and I fine-tuned the way I wanted to do it. Once I started running my own business, I fine-tuned some things, and you know, recruited a little differently, and you know, we had the freedom and flexibility to literally build out everything.
When did you have the opportunity to run it yourself?
After about September 2010, actually, September 1st, 2010. Is the first time I got my incorporation papers. So tomorrow is September 1st. Wow. So September 1st, 2010, I got my incorporation papers to
12 years ago.
My own business. Yeah. September 1st, 2015, my daughter was born. So tomorrow my daughter turns 7. Okay. And, you know.
I'm 25th.
I didn't even think about that.
I'm 9/25. Yeah. So September's a great month. Phenomenal month. So 12 years into the business. Now, did you just start off with the singular product of DirecTV as well, or were you able to do multiple things? Because I know you guys do a lot more than just DirecTV now.
We do now. When AT&T purchased DirecTV, I believe that it kind of changed my life. They ultimately offer a suite of services. Yeah. And if you look at the, you know, any of the write-ups on the acquisition, they talk about third-party labor. Yeah. And I don't know if I make this up in my mind, but I like to think that we played a role in that, because there was a point in time we brought them as many customers as they brought them, you know? So it was, you know, we were a big deal. Yeah. And when AT&T bought DirecTV, we kind of started making new relationships, and they have obviously different budgets and different pockets. And, you know, they started introducing us to other, obviously we're way more important to the retailers at this point. And they introduced us to, you know, their whole suite of services. So internet, video, security. Yeah. I think at one time they were doing like health insurance. Like, I mean, it was pretty amazing. And now, I mean, obviously the cell phone is one thing you just have to have. Yeah. So now we do that, energy, solar at some point. You know, so clean energy, the way that people use that will be different in the future, whether they like me or not. That's hard to disagree with. And the phone is one thing people can't not have. Absolutely.
So when you recall the first few years of, you know, 2010 to like 2012, 2013, how hard were you working? What did that look like?
I mean, 8 days a week. I mean, you know, you meet someone that runs their own restaurant. I mean, they bust the tables. They're the prep cook. They do, you know, they can do everything. So they're the host or hostess. That's what you have to do when you have a business. You got to understand all the different positions. You have to understand that, or you'll die out.
Yeah. And so basically, as you transition from, when did you kind of know you like had a little bit of stability?
And again, I come from sports, so you don't just show up to the game. There's training, there's off ice and on ice. You're in the gym.
Yes.
It used to be, you're it's not just one thing. You got to take, it's a full-time job.
Yeah.
It is a full-time job. And then there's school on top of it if you're in school. So there's a lot more that goes into it. So committing to doing something, that wasn't anything new for me.
Yeah.
I understood what it took. And keep in mind, I just failed from something I was doing my whole life. Mm-hmm. So I was not going to repeat that same mistake. I wanted to make sure I had everything in my control.
Yeah. Now, who and what helped you?
You were asking about stability?
Yeah, stability.
I saw it really quick because you could control your own income, and people always say that, like you can control. But I had a million questions, not stupid, naive. That's like my takeaway from a new person, and I would be able to sell whatever the subscription I was selling, and then I'd get paid on it the next week.
Yeah.
And I was able to start budgeting and seeing the dollars come in. And I was really open to like brand new people that I didn't know. I'm still like that. So I would bring you in and show you the money, I would show you how the money worked and moved through the business. So the people that I would attract are just, top-notch people. They wanted the same thing I wanted. They either were motivated to have what I had, or they were excited to be on a winning team. Yeah. Either way, they were excited.
And are you building this all out of Georgia initially?
No. So the first office that I actually ran, and I was in charge of the hiring, and I was making the decisions, was in Best Buy corporate campus's backyard in St. Paul, Minnesota.
Wow.
Yeah. So we were like a traveling circus at a Sam's Club.
Yeah.
We were in some, not in some. They kind of cared. They didn't care, and not to badmouth them. I don't know if they're on.
Yeah.
But Best Buy is in Edina, Minnesota, and that's where that's kind of like a smaller version of Circuit City. So it just made sense.
Dope. So, and then what did your parents? Maybe more so your dad? It sounds like. When he started seeing the money coming in, was he big on like save? Don't.
First of all, he was always like that. Like,
yeah.
He saved money before he started making money, is what he would say.
Yeah.
And now he's accumulated something that people will only dream of, right? Over working his whole life and retiring in his late 60s, and again, I'm not bad mouthing my dad.
Does he splurge on anything?
Nah, nothing. No,
he don't have nothing he likes.
Cheap scotch that you've never heard of, and like the plastic squishy bottles, like a Gatorade bottle. It's, nothing. It's crazy. Like when we go now, I'm like, let's go to a steakhouse. Let's have top shelf. Bring it on down. Like it's nothing. It's incredible. And I'm totally I'll spend on experiences and food especially.
Yep.
But not much else. But to your other point, the stability, once I was able to tie what I'm doing and really tie it to seeing the money go through.
Yeah.
The first time I learned what taxes really were is when I saw my tax bill and what I owed the IRS after my business made real money.
Yeah.
So I'm like, damn, this sucks. Like there's got to be a smarter way to do this, like, wow. So, and again, you got to do everything above board. So you got to pay yourself more, you got to write it off, or you got to figure it out, or you're paid at the end of the year, or, but that's how I learned, is through, taking it in the shorts a little bit. So, all my experiences have been through ways that I've been burned, and that's made me, I can see how it would make people quit and do other things. I'm open to that, but I'm able to become a better coach because of the experience that I've gone through and actually done it.
Have you had anybody over the last decade or so that like heavily mentored you?
What's interesting is the leaders in our industry now, we were kind of all new together.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it's kind of a cool story that way. I don't want to say new together, but DirecTV was, it wasn't a huge program before we started doing it. It got big really fast, and they were in the entertainment business.
Yeah.
Like people, like if you look at the Super Bowl, it was DirecTV everywhere.
When was DirecTV founded?
I have no idea.
Wow.
I should probably know that. I mean, I don't know.
I'm gonna Google it.
Yeah, that's what you do. But I should probably know, and I don't know.
We're seeing DirecTV.
But again, you don't have to be, wildly smart to do what I do. Thank goodness.
You definitely don't have to be wildly smart to do what I do. 1994.
Yeah, that's not what I would have guessed.
Yeah, so like that's a very new company. You know what I mean? Like the insurance companies, they all are like 100+ years. Like
exactly.
Our parent company is 100 years old. You know what I mean? Globe Life are 100 years old. That's incredible because I wonder what DirecTV does in annual sales.
Well, now it's probably zero, right? We don't even. We don't even sell it anymore. Now it's only,
okay. So it's not even part of the product line.
It is, but no one. Paid TV isn't what I don't have paid TV. It isn't what it. Now everything's Netflix or Amazon.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's probably one of the bad acquisitions if you look through the history of companies merging. But it's like AOL, Time Warner, and then probably that.
What was your favorite year so far out of the last 12, 13 years being in business?
Probably 2016. Once you do a certain dollar amount in sales, you get, you hit a different benchmark, and it kind of changed my income. Yeah. So that was probably one of them, and obviously the kids but business specifically. For our 10-year anniversary, we threw a really big party at Gibson's. And
the one in the city or the one right down here?
The one right down the street. Yeah. And they have a banquet room now, so rented that whole thing out, had a few hundred people, did like really like did it up the right way. Yeah, like had a the bill's like a phone number, like what you would see, like a crazy bill. Yes. And, so to be able to do that and experience it with some of our tight crew was I think that's a really cool moment. Yeah. I think seeing how, we can move into other businesses. I think that's really cool. And we started doing other product lines, and energy is a totally different industry than DirecTV and AT&T. So that was a really cool moment. And again, there's been so many different things that we've tried out. But to highlight, I would say that big dinner for our 10-year anniversary was really cool. I would say that hitting that second benchmark for annual sales, that was really neat. And then obviously getting my business was cool. Is there another benchmark above the one that you already hit? It's probably no, there's not. Okay. We're in the game. Dope. That's dope. So what does the future look like? What does the next 5-10 year vision look like for you? Oh man, I wouldn't. So I just started back doing the day-to-day like a new guy. Yeah. I want to like relearn, I'm like a generation removed from all of the people that are looking for work. Yeah. So I'm really turned on right now to relearn what they're doing, but I'm like thinking a year out. Yeah. So, the way that people look for work, the way that people, think about money, it's a fucking tragedy. Yes. So it is like, I learned so much from them, and I'm either just floored at how in the clouds they are, and we need to have a meeting with your parents. Like it's time for us to, walk through why you think the way you think. Yeah. So I find myself, how do I find the words to not be disrespectful? Yeah. But I want to learn on what people are looking for so that we can make ourselves more marketable, right? Yep. That's kind of our tagline right now. So, so I would say that that's a big takeaway. But I want to promote. So think about this in 2023, I want to promote a manager every month. Yes. So always trying to promote leadership. I'm focused on winding it up right now, and over the next year, we're going to have a January promotion, a February promotion. I'm going to do it every single month. That's what I want to do. Yes. So that's what I'm thinking about right now, and that's all I'm thinking about right now. Yeah, I'm putting a lot of my time and energy into obviously just utilizing some of your affiliations in regard to like hiring, sure, and certain things like that, so that I can, it's like the chicken and the egg. Which one comes first? It's like I got to have hires for me to generate more leaders. You know what I mean? So of course. It's like,
no one out there, you're running a business. It's like the fastest way for you to multiply your business from me reading and experiencing has been through leadership, not just adding
Sure.
to add, but add leaders to multiply your organization. So I completely agree with that. Are you going to stay in Chicago next 5-10 years?
I think I don't have a choice. I think that's what the missus decided. And I think for a while I thought I had her sold on somewhere south, but I think she just vetoed that. And, the kids, love their schools. We've been here. We've built everything here. So we're probably here.
And then do you visit all your other offices?
Yeah, I think so. I'm probably, obviously I'm in the day-to-day now, but before that I was pretty good at it. I'd go see, multiple offices a month. So if I was all hub airports, so I would go, maybe Philadelphia, and then from Philadelphia to, Buffalo, and then Buffalo back here, or I would go to Dallas, and then Dallas to, Pittsburgh, and then Pittsburgh back. So I would hit, have a little tour and then come back home.
Now, do you have a favorite book?
To Sell is Human. Daniel Pink.
I wonder if I got that.
Yeah, really, really good. And so here's my audiobook and podcast, different thing.
Yeah.
So the Grant Cardone, he's got an audiobook that's free on Amazon. I like things that relate to life and aren't industry specific. So like even if you listen to how me and you talk, you'll say, your business or my business.
Yep.
But it's business.
Yep.
And it's not, well, in my life growing up, well, no, it's growing up, it's life. So I like things that aren't industry specific. And Grant Cardone talks about how you have to have certain skill sets to be successful in anything. And I think that stuff is really, really powerful because there's no soft skills that are taught anymore.
Yeah.
The reason that handshake deals are bad is because the people have been burned so many different times.
Yeah.
So I actually find that we do a lot of like soft skills teaching people. It's not, like they can read and write, but they don't know how to communicate at a dinner table.
No, yeah.
They're keyboard warriors. You know what I mean?
Yes.
They don't. It's really depressing, actually.
Yeah.
How poor. Like you carry yourself wonderfully. You've learned that. That's a learned skill.
Yes.
You weren't born with that.
It was beaten into me.
Yeah, exactly. Same idea. Literally or figuratively. It's beaten in. But it's the same kind of idea. Like I think that's part of training. Is you got to get people to kind of see the light.
Yes.
Or it's a train.
Yes.
So it's kind of sucks, but everyone has to go through that process.
Yep.
So that's.
Now, outside of working, and then outside of a little bit of Call of Duty, is there any other hobbies or anything you guys have?
I wouldn't say Call of Duty is a hobby at all. No, you can. Anything I can do to kind of relax or take my mind off. Like I've, I started doing hot yoga again.
I just started that too.
We got Wellness Wednesday, so we got different themes in the office. Yeah. So let's put the teams together and do like a Core Power Wellness Wednesday.
Yeah.
One of the other folks in the office said, well, we can do, a Pilates. Yeah. And I'm like, sure, just to get the team doing stuff together. So, I would say that I've done that. I think I'm at 9 classes so far in the last probably 6-8 weeks.
Where do you do yours at?
Core Power Yoga.
Core Power. That's probably Google. I go to just Lifetime. Everything's there.
Everything is there. The one right in Oak Brook here. Yeah, man.
I'm very convenient.
I told them to look at that, and then I'm gonna get us all in that game there. So
they do corporate little deals.
So I'll probably look to do something there. But honestly, it's kid time. My kids are rock stars.
Yeah.
They really are. I'm sure everybody says that about them, but man, if I go to Target with them, like people stare at that. It's really, it's wild, you know, but they have the personality for it. To see them and how they view the world is amazing. Yeah. So, I would say, really that's where my focus is on whenever I'm there.
Are you putting any focus right now on like any skill set development with them in their young age? Or just letting them be kids right now?
So like 2021, man, they didn't care about sports at all. It was so weird. We did the soccer thing and they would run next to them and they wouldn't engage at all. We did we tried doing baseball. That was a mess.
Yeah.
And but now they've just started to get interested in, ice skating and gymnastics and karate and basketball. So now they really, and like a light switch, like it was incredible.
Yeah.
But they're really, my son, from when we started hockey till now, I mean, it was staggering how his development has grown so fast. He's the smallest one, the youngest one, again, I mean, jumping levels, like really, really impressive how he's doing it. Like my daughter in ice skating, like she's already good at it.
Yeah.
And, so it's cool to be able to see that and in such a short amount of time. You know what I mean? It just shows you can really do almost anything if you focus at it. Like now they want to rollerblade. Now they want to, so if you struggle at something in the beginning, it'll deter you. Yeah. So now they're seeing, they're excited because they're good at it. Yeah. And they can look around and they identify that they're good at it. Yeah. So that's I spend time with them doing that stuff, or I'm working like a dog.
Yeah. I love it. I respect it. So, do you have a favorite restaurant?
I'd say Gibson's just because it's easy.
Yeah.
But man, I love everything. You know, like Capitol Grill. Yep. I mean, I went there with you guys. Was like, man, everything here is really good. Yep. I just love good food, man. Yep. I'm 50 pounds overweight because I love good food.
I love good food. That's definitely an area that I like to splurge in. Yeah. What about? Do you have a favorite movie, favorite show? Are you into?
I've found myself, because I'm in the day-to-day again, doing a lot of Remember the Titans references.
Love
you know what I mean? Like, who your daddy is. I talk a little bit of shit to the team. And, I want them to say it back to me just because it's funny. I do a lot of, you only do, I think he says 7 plays for the offense. Yeah. And it's such a simple thing to run, to run one of these offices, and people really complicate it. Yeah. So I would probably say Runner is a good movie, and for a lot of different reasons that people probably don't know. I also like movies that people don't know. Green Street Hooligans, if you've ever seen that. Mm-mm. Yeah. I mean, that's a home run. I can't believe you haven't seen that movie.
I'm going to look that up.
Yeah, you need to look that up. Green Street Hooligans, Runner, and let's see if I was to pick a third one. What's one that I always watch? I don't know. We'll stick with those two.
Yeah, those are good. As we wrap up, we're almost 45, probably closer to 50 minutes in, but I know you got to get out of here 2:50, right?
Yeah, I just got to be ready to do a dance.
Yep, we're ready. We're pretty much here, wrapped up. I don't know if there's anything else I wanted to add in there outside of just finally asking you if there's anything, advice, things on your mind. I wanted to find out, though, as before you dip into any advice or anything like that, you have a favorite coach that you like to study. You mentioned you read a lot of sports, a lot on coaching, and then that definitely relates in our business.
So I'll, a favorite coach?
I go to Nick Saban a lot. Like, he's a clutch.
Yeah, I mean, I just went to my first... So the guy that I was talking to you about before, his son is like a president of the fraternity at, is it Alabama?
Alabama.
Yeah, Alabama. Yeah. So I went to my first game last year.
Yeah.
And I mean, holy shit. Like that's what I'm talking about. Like that culture, that building. What I like about Nick Saban is a good recruiter, because I think that's in everything. Recruiter. And I like to think I'm a good recruiter. Like I also say, like, the more that I learn about people, the more I'm supposed to like. Yeah. And if that's not happening, one of us is off. Yes. So, but I think recruiting's in everything.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I think that's good. But I wouldn't say that I identify with one coach over another. Now coaches, it's like a revolving door.
Yeah.
You're not anywhere for more than 3 or 4 years, and you're fired and you're moving on. Yeah. So I think trying to stay relevant and reinvent yourself as a coach is important. Yep. Or as a mentor. I always look and see what a trend says, and I don't want to be in that trend. I want to be swimming against the stream a little bit, because that's where the money is, solving a problem. Yeah. So, I wouldn't say that I have a coach. Maybe a coaching style. I'd definitely say I'm a player's coach.
Yeah.
You know, and I coach to what's good for everybody. You know, I don't
Yes.
coach to an individual. I don't coach to,
So key.
you know, just one thing or another. It's, hey, look, it's got to make sense for everybody. Or,
Yep.
or if it's a bad deal, you know, then you're not going to do that deal ever again. You know, if it's
Yeah.
a good deal, everybody has to win, and then you'll continue to do that.
Yep.
So,
Facts.
but I don't have a, I don't know.
Facts.
But any advice? I mean, you gotta make what you're doing fun. You gotta have fulfillment.
Yes.
And I mean, you hear so many people, they're not miserable at their job. They're not miserable in their relationships. They're miserable.
Yes.
You know, and what can you do to not be so miserable? You know, you have to fix your outlook, fix your mindset.
Yep.
You know, you need to, you know, be, you know, a beacon of hope or light or belief or whatever it is.
Yep.
And I think that's a big whiff on people, and it's 100% in their control.
Completely agree.
You know, even like the people that are at Starbucks, like they know me.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
the people at the Capitol Grill, like they know you. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
you know, that's incredible. You know,
Yeah.
like they're old enough to be our parents. Maybe,
Yes.
and they know you. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And they probably don't want to work there.
Yeah.
You know, they weren't like, oh my gosh, I get to go into. You know, they're not excited about the evening shift.
Yeah.
You know, at 64.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Or 59 or whatever it is.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I would say that my personal outlook and the advice that I try to follow is to be in a position where I have choice.
Yes.
So that's
I like that.
Those are probably the two things that I'd really hammer home.
I like that. Well, this was a dope podcast. I hope you guys enjoyed. Jacob, check him out. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
appreciate it. Another episode of Adversity Kings. If you are a returning listener, please like, share, subscribe. If you find value, please share it. We don't charge you anything. This is all free game. If you listen this far, I know probably my mom did, so that's all that matters.